Hey guys, so today I'm just going to be sharing how The Richest Man in Babylon by George S. Clayson is going to be able to help you go and grow your business, your wealth, your career, anything that you need when it comes to money, investing, savings, and finance that's going to allow you to be able to go and build your career and really take you where you need to go. So the reason why we've been sharing this is because oftentimes as artists, a lot of artists don't necessarily think about the financial side, the financial implications that it actually takes to go and do this stuff full time. And oftentimes, maybe we neglect our finances, maybe we don't have a lot of savings inside the bank, and that's really going to be a deterrent for you long term. Okay, it's really hard for most people to be able to make, 15, 20, $30,000 a month selling art if they can't even buy the materials to be able to make, enough paintings to sell that much, whether it's a sculpture, whether it's a painting. Like we got to be able to have some supplies at the very minimum. So let's even talk about this, man. So inside this book, it's basically of there's a young man and he's trying to learn how to become rich. And he goes to the richest person in the city, Babylon. And then that person basically just says, "Okay, man, I'm gonna sit you down. I'm gonna like talk to you for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a couple of months. I'm just gonna show you how to start making money." And this is a very timeless classic, but a lot of the information inside is very, very, very applicable for today. So let's just kind of share this thing. So number one, I'm going to be reading out of this chapter that is called The 7 Cures or Remedies for a Lean Purse. So back then they used to have, purses to carry their actual coins because to be like gold, silver, actual coins. And nowadays we have wallets, we have bank accounts, we have crypto wallets, all these different things. But let's just talk about it from that standpoint. So number one, you have to be able to do step one, starting your journey. Okay, so we have to start looking at money as fuel for our future. And the more fuel that we can have inside of the bank, it's going to make it a lot easier for us to be able to capture opportunities that will allow us to multiply. But number one is going to be about learning how to really take about 10% of your income. So if you're making 3 grand a month, you got to be able to have and put away at least $300 every single month in the bank. At the end of a year, that's going to be about $3,600 you have saved up. And if you keep doing that, you're going to have a very good nest egg at the end of 3, 5, 10 years. Now, the problem is that most people anything they have excess, they end up either spending it or something comes up, or they just have like some kind of thing that comes into their life that always seems to take things away. Now, in some cases, like there are things slightly out of our control, like if your house gets hit by a hurricane, if someone, you know, takes $800 from you, if you drop it while you're walking to the bank like I did. A couple of months ago, I dropped $800 cash out of my pocket as I was like going and trying to deposit, or I withdrew it from one bank, trying to take it to the next bank because I didn't do online banking for a long time. I just dropped $800 sitting in the parking lot, never found it again. Now, for most people, that's going to be like really, really costly. For me, it was more of an annoyance thing, and because monetarily I'm pretty good at this moment in time, but it was still just kind of frustrating. Like, oh my gosh, man, how did you drop that? Now, barring kind of things like that that just pop up and happen, you need to be focused on saving at least 10% of your income that you come home from your check, which in a lot of cases is challenging at first. Okay, it's very, very challenging for a lot of people, but we have to be able to strive. If you want to go and get an outcome that most people can't have, you got to do what most people won't do. Very simple. Now, the reason why it's so important is because if you don't have savings, if you don't have very much stuff inside the bank, if you're scared for today, it's going to cause you to miss out on all the blessings tomorrow. So we have to make sure that in the present, we are financially secure, we are stable, and we're able to really just like be on the lookout for opportunities. We're looking for opportunities. We're looking for things that can help us move forward, for people that can move us forward, for programs that can move us forward, for courses that can move us forward, for events, anything we can go and spend. We'll talk a little bit more about investing in a minute, but we got to make sure we can save at least 10% of the income. And that's number one, okay? So we got to be able to save 10%. Number two, and keep in mind, like with this number of 10%, if you can save more, like I save about between 85 to 90% of the money that I make every single month goes directly into my savings/investment account. It's just because I've been able to maintain the same level of expenses for a very long time. And even though my income, is going up and up and up, I am not, I didn't go out and buy like a really fancy car. I still drive a Toyota Camry. I didn't go in and get like a second or third house. Everything is very, very stable to where, back when I was not making a huge amount of money, I was able to, buy a really relatively good place. And now everything's kind of stable. So I'm able to save about 85 to about 90% of my income every single month will go either to savings or to investments. But if you're not quite there yet, that is okay. Now let's even go back into this thing. Okay, so step number two is about controlling our expenses. So just like I kind of led into in that last point, even if you start making more money, if you don't have a good foundation on learning how to control those expenses, your expenses, let's say for example, right now you just for simple math, you okay, so you make $100, you spend 90. A lot of people think that what's going to happen is on this side, when you start making, 1,000, so you 10x it, they think that they're just going to have this big gap and this is going to be all the profit they're going to make, right? So they're only going to have their expense at like 90. What actually happens is if you 10x this side, you're going to 10x this side, and now you're still back at like zero. And you're not really saving that much more than what you were before. Instead, how people who are, successful long-term operator, they might get 100 and they might be spending 90 in the beginning, but they also learn how to go and maybe do it to like 50, right? So now they're making $50 every time they make 100. So now when that 10x is, that margin in between is very, very high. So now you're making $500 a month instead of before you would only made $100 a month. So that's gonna be very, very important for you. We got to make sure that you can control those expenses. Because imagine like an analogy would be that you're trying to fill like a bucket with water, right? You have this bucket, you're at the beach, you're trying to fill it up with water so you can go pour it into the moat of your sandcastle dream house. But if your bucket has a hole in it, it's gonna be very, very, very hard to fill it up. And you're never gonna be able to go and fill that moat that allows us to be able to have our dream sandcastle. And in this case, the moat is actually symbolizing our savings, our finances, and the money that's going to allow us to, on this side, this is our job, this is our old life. On this side with the dream house, this moat is protecting our dream house, our dream life, and basically the life that you want to live. But if you have that hole in the bucket, you're never going to be able to fill up that moat. You're going to have a very hard time, leaving this side. Now, okay, now keep in mind, guys, this is all about trying to save at least 10%. If you can save more, keep it up. If you can keep lowering those expenses, one thing that really helped me was to be able to put all of my expenses on like a spreadsheet or a piece of paper. At first, it was a piece of paper, and I just write, okay, I'm looking at my bank statement. On this day, this came out. And on this day, this came out. On this day, this came out. On this day, this came out. Okay, and then I went with like a highlighter and said, okay, highlight the things that are like, kind of frivolous. So like I went out to eat one day, or I bought a watch for a random reason, or I just gave this person on the street more money than what I probably needed to, right? Rather than giving just like a $10 bill, I gave him a $50 bill, right? So I'm just highlighting all these different things. Then I'm noticing, okay, wow, so this is about $500, $1,000 a month of just random spending that I can just cut off immediately. So I was able to cut that thing off, and then I was able to save an extra $1,000 a month. Now, okay, and then guys, keep in mind, if like this is kind of like hurting you, you're like, I don't want to save, I don't want to, it's only for a short period of time. Okay, it's only for a short period of time. Now, if like saving for 3 months, a year is all it takes for you to be able to live the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years how you want, you gotta make that choice. Remember, guys, people who win do things people who don't win are not willing to do. Who are you going to be? That's the question you got to ask yourself every single day. Who are you going to be? Who are you going to be becoming? Who are you leaving behind? Like, what are you going to be? Now, step number 3, okay? Now, this is all about learning how to multiply. This is the one that everybody wants to learn how to do. Everyone wants to learn how to multiply their income. Everybody wants to learn how to invest. Everybody wants to learn how to take, $100 and make it to $30,000, okay? Now that does happen, but there has to be a process, okay? So now that we've been implementing those first 2 steps and you have that fuel, now you can start really investing. Now you can start really double, triple, quadruple, even 10xing what you have and what you've been diligent to save. So number one, okay, there's levels of investments. So not every single investment is going to be created equally, right? So there's certain investments that have a lot more risk involved, but they give greater rewards, and there's certain ones that have a lot lower risk, but the amount of rewards is a lot lower as well. Okay, and generally when there's a lot less risk, it's generally more stable, and those are what you're supposed to be like investing in after you've already made money, and you're allowed to like go and invest for the long term. So let's give an example of like more of a short term, kind of the first type of investment. Okay, number one is always investing in yourself. Always investing in yourself, whether it's a course, whether it's a program, whether it's a mentorship, anything that you, whether it's books. I spend about $2,000 in books a year, right? Just pure cash, $2,000 a year in books. But it's all because I'm feeding myself and I'm trying to improve myself, right? I spend about 20,000 to about 30,000, 32,000 per year on courses, right? So a lot of people ask, like, Bryce, you have your own, coaching program, your own mentorship program. You're just trying to make a cash grab. It's like, no, I spend a lot more on my own education so I can get this program even better and making sure that people are getting faster results and much more pronounced results over time. So we can keep seeing, like, I'm trying to get someone to $1 million with only paying for, a sub of like a 4-figure investment, right? So they pay under $10,000 and they try and make between $300,000 to $500,000. You don't get that anywhere else unless you're starting to invest in yourself. Now, second area of investing is in events. Okay, so for example, for artists, right, there are different either galleries, exhibitions, art shows, industry nights, things that you can go to where you're going to be able to go and sell much higher dollar amount pieces at a much higher rate and be able to really just rapidly grow your art sales. But we need to make sure that we have some money first invested into like a program that can show you where are those opportunities and how to actually get past those gatekeepers, and then you can be able to start investing in the events because you're not going to lose money on those events, and you know that you're going to be in the right places where you're going to have the highest opportunity for you to be able to go and grow that next nest egg and be able to make more money with it. Third thing is going to be about investing in assets. So what that basically means is assets are like stocks, real estate, bonds, some people's cryptocurrency, um, a lot of different things, right? But those are generally the ones that are the most stable, the most long term. And when I'm talking about stable, like within those different things that I said, like there's some that are more stable than others, but just as a general kind of mind, right? Stocks, real estate. My favorite two real estate classes are stocks and real estate. Those are just the ones that I've had the most time learning about and the most time actually like putting money into and really growing. So right now, we just flipped 2 rental properties, right? And it was about 65 grand net profit on the one before taxes, and then about 75,000 on net profit on the second one. We're closing on the second one now, so we're just kind of waiting for some things coming back with the offer and just kind of finalizing some things. But immediately what we do with that money is, one, you gotta set a little bit aside for taxes because the last one was like during the last tax year. But this new one, since it's like the beginning of the year, we're going to be able to have more time that we can use that money before it has to get paid to taxes. So what we're going to be doing is, I'm putting that in my investment account, man. We're trying to get between 8 to 30% return this year from that money. And we're just going to put in a very, very safe investment where I generally put most of my other money. I like to do about every 3 to 6 months, try and put in an additional like 50,000 or 25,000, however much money I can put inside at the time, to really just keep growing and keep growing and keep growing and keep growing and keep growing, and it just keeps multiplying every single year over year. But that was after that's after I've invested in for the year courses, books, events. And then at the very end, I have all these assets that are being built, and long term, it's like money that I don't need right now. But that's really how you start building this wealth, okay? So the first one, making sure you can save 10%, because this is the fuel that you're going to need in order to be able to grow your life. It's almost like you're trying to fuel a rocket ship that's going to take you to your dreams. Number 2, you have to control your expenses, because you have to go and build up that moat that's separating where you are now from your dream life and the life that you deserve because you're going to be putting in the work. So number 3 is, once you have this moat, now you need to go and take some of that water, and you need to start going and creating an ocean with it. Okay, the ocean's going to be the thing that takes you long term. So at a certain point, you don't even need to sell your art anymore. You don't really need to do business. You don't really need to do anything, and it's just continuing to really go and really just kind of fuel you. And that's kind of the point that we're at. So I'm probably about 2, if not 3 years away from my stock account being able to spit out 6 figures every single year in just returns. So if I can get to that point probably in the next 3 years, that'll be really, really great. That's also why I even have the Art Sales Accelerator program. Like, a lot of people ask me that because, I do make really good money selling my art. I do have my accounting firm, my accounting, just side of my life. But then also I have the Art Sales Accelerator program where I show other artists how to go and grow their art sales so they can start, making like 10 grand, 15 grand, 20 grand in a weekend, every single week, within control and within a very predictable amount of time. And people are like, why do you do that? You already have money. One gentleman said, you have all this money. Why do you want, my money? And, the response I gave was like, dude, man, every $100 that you are able to collect in about 35 years, if it is compounded annually at 8%, that just means that every single time that you make a gain of 8%, it goes back into the principal or the starting balance, and then you just keep looping it, it keeps growing and keeps growing. Every $100 that you do that for over 35 years turns into about $1,270. You're not going to have enough money, especially if you're trying to go and hit like a certain point and you don't want to work again. So your job is really to go and take about a 10, maybe 15-year period of your life where not only are you saving your money, but you're making as much money as possible, as passively and as easily as possible, so that you never have to work again in the future. And that's kind of the stage that I'm at now. So yeah, I do make a good amount of money, but I need to keep making more money. The only way for me to do that is by, helping out other people. They can give me more testimonials. I then show that to more people, and then they pay me more money, and then I'm able to help more people out, and then other people are going to give me more money. And then eventually what the end plan is going to be is that I'm going to have some sort of either investment firm or an investment type of vehicle where all the people I've helped out in the past can maybe invest with me with a guaranteed amount of return, and then we can keep moving. But if I don't help anybody out in the short term, and I'm just kind of selfishly, just making a lot of money off my art, making a lot of money off my accounting firm, I'm not going to have that base of friends and base of people whose lives I changed that are going to help fuel my dreams even, faster forward in the future. So that's kind of the rationale behind like why we're doing this. It's because we're trying to create this life of abundance for ourselves, our friends, and our family. And that's basically what this is all about. So hopefully you enjoyed watching this video. Hopefully this thing helped you out. If you haven't, go and pick this thing up. You can go get it on Audible. I'll probably even link like a YouTube video of the audio book inside the description. If you comment audio, then I'll actually go and I'll look up the Audible or the YouTube version of it, so you can just like go and listen to it on your lunch break or whatever, or your evenings when you're dealing with your children. So I'll talk to you soon. Have a great rest of your day. Take it easy.